memories with Skip and Joann about their son, Michael. What's his middle name? What's Mike's middle name?
Paul.
Michael Paul Friedhoff for Mike's 50th birthday, who is out in Arizona, and I'm unable to go out there, but we're going to kind of go through some memories. And first off, if you guys could just kind of say where you're at and when you guys got married and how old you guys were when Mike ended up showing up in the world.
Where are we?
What's that?
We're in Plymouth, Indiana. We got married in 1965, and Mike showed up in 74. So we had a few years under our belt.
Now, Mike's got a couple sisters. What's the age difference, and who's the older, who's the younger?
Chris is the oldest. There's 6 years difference. Kim is the middle child, and there's 3 years difference.
Now, I remember Kim from Ball State.
Okay.
I've got a couple stories that she might remember, but we're going to leave those out of this. So first off, I'm going to kind of go into Mike and I originally met in freshman year art class, and we both were kind of chatting to the same female that we both thought was cute, and I think we became buddies out of kind of a rivalry that happened from that. But that was just a little kind of a joke. But essentially, we lived together after college. We had numerous memories throughout college with our group of friends, and we even went out to Las Vegas for 2000 New Year. But we had a lot of great memories together. And so when you guys had Mike, what's Mike's birthday?
October 20th, and it is coming up Sunday.
That's right. So how did you choose Michael? First off, what was the reasoning for giving that name?
Good question. The middle name is from Skip. That's his middle name. So Michael, I guess we just liked it.
And Skip, what was your kind of industry? How were you providing for the family as Mike was in the fam was growing up? And Joann, also, if you'd like to reiterate this as well.
Yeah, I started out as a book salesman for Holt, Reinhardt, and Winston. And then I was transformed into a national sales consultant, and I would be flown out to wherever I needed to make a presentation to school boards, trying to decide on which books to buy. And then after that, I started a travel agency in Plymouth, and had that for about, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. And so when I was traveling around, I went to just about all 50 states, and we even went out to Alaska. So that was basically what I did.
Okay, and Joann, what type of have you been
I had a degree in elementary education.
Okay.
But stayed home with the kids when they were small. So I think Mike was in 3rd grade when I went back to work. So
what grade were you teaching?
I started out in 1st, and then I moved up to 3rd.
Okay.
I like these little ones.
All right. So when Mike was born, do you happen to remember the time that he was born? Sometimes people know the time, sometimes they don't.
I do not.
Okay. What was the weather like?
Mild. Fall.
And what was the hospital?
It was South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend. So what was his older sister's name?
The oldest one is Chris.
So what was Chris like when Mike showed up?
Well, I tell you, he had lots of mamas because they all wanted to take care of him until he got a little older. Then not so much.
So how would you describe him, his personality as a baby?
Well, when he was first born, he must have had some, I'm guessing, stomach issues because he was pretty fussy. But later on, when he passed all that, then he was very willing to be bossed around by his sisters. So pretty mild-mannered little guy.
So what were some of the favorite toys that he always was playing with and getting into when he was a toddler?
Well, he liked trucks, anything with wheels. And for some reason, he wanted to wear a football shirt with a number on it. So that was his big thing.
I heard, and I've experienced as well, he loves critters.
Oh my, yes.
Oh my! He was always going around picking up lizards out of our window wells, and he just loved any kind of animal he could find.
So what did you end up finding in the house? Because I'm sure you ended up a few times bringing them in the house. Was there any house situations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had some snakes in an aquarium, and they had babies, so we had lots of snakes. He went through mice that they were so prolific that he ended up selling them to a pet store for food for other critters. I think he eradicated the salamander population because he would put them in buckets and then kind of forget about them. So that took care of that. But he's always, even after they moved to Arizona, he was always hunting critters. So that was his thing. In fact, we babysat a boa, and it got into Skip's recliner, and we had just to kind of wait until it came out. So there you go.
All right, so Skip, I'm sure he was trying to follow you around and do things around the house. Maybe according to like hobbies you had or other things maybe you'd be working on. But what kind of things did you remember when he was little that he was following you around and trying to be a part of?
Well, to be honest with you, when he was little, I was doing a lot of traveling. So Joann had to take care of him most of the time. Like I said, I was going to different states all the time, and I wasn't around a whole lot whenever he was really little.
We did do a lot of camping, so that was fun.
A lot of camping.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna move on to this next one. So here's a shot recently of Mike with his son Peyton and his sisters and you guys. Where's the picture of the whole group there in the corner?
That was last year at our birthday party, and the one in the middle, I believe that was the same time, and that's in our backyard.
Now, did you take the goofy pic?
That was several years ago when they went to Disneyland. Or Disney World, I guess it was.
Disney World. Mike kind of is a little goofball, and I didn't mean to be about that, but yeah.
Always up for a good time, yeah.
So here we've got some old school pics, obviously in front of the mantle. And then where are the other ones?
Again, our home, both those group pictures of the family. And then the one on the bottom, that was one of our anniversaries that they came to.
So how was the dynamic between Mike and his sisters? Give me some stories on them growing up together.
Well, Chris, being the oldest, liked to take charge. So when he was little, she pretty much got him to do most anything. And in high school, of course, I left a little earlier than the bus came. So I'm hearing stories later on that Mike and Kim kind of got into it a few times. And of course, it was neither one's fault. So yeah, it was, I mean, they all got along and they still do. So it's a good thing.
And Kim, was Kim a year older or how much different?
She's 3 years older.
3 years older.
Mm-hmm.
3 years older. All right. So as far as them ever maybe getting into mischief or in trouble, anything as siblings, was there anything like that that stands out that, you know, Mike might not want the world to know that he was involved in, but this could be a fun time for his 50th to bring up some old dirt maybe?
Well, the girls were pretty much followed the rules. And then Mike came along and he was a little more adventurous. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things I did not know that went on. He did, when he was high risk insurance because of a few accidents and speeding tickets coming from Ball State to home, he borrowed his neighbor's and good friend, his truck They were going to some dance. And so he went to pick up the girl and ended up having an accident, which he was told not to drive somebody else's vehicle. So, you know, like I said, I think there's things that we do not know that did happen.
Right. All right. So we're going to bring it back. Michael as a small little wrestler and getting haircuts and in his little uniform. And does he have a cricket bat? Is that a cricket bat or what's that?
That is actually a hatchet.
That's a hatchet.
Yes. We had a lot of trees behind our house. So I guess he was the great woodsman. I guess he was going to go out and chop down a tree.
Well, let's talk about him getting into wrestling and a little bit of stories. Skip, if you want to kind of chat about him in wrestling.
Yeah, he wrestled all over the state of Plymouth. The state of Indiana. And we even went up to Michigan because they started wrestling earlier. And he was a really, really good wrestler.
He had a heck of a headlock. So he won a lot of tournaments that way.
All right, we're going to go on a little bit older. Looks like it's into kind of grade school, maybe early high school or junior high. Is that around this time?
I'd say the one up on the top right is grade school yet, and the other ones are junior high.
So what like areas of study did he gravitate towards, and also what type of community groups or organizations or church or whatever did he get involved with in high school?
He played baseball, football, soccer, hung around with his buddies. Trying to think, art was a big thing. He really liked art.
Well, he and his buddy Brian Lukenbill, who lived across the street from us, they always seemed to get into a little bit of trouble.
Never.
Did they ever get actually reprimanded, maybe by the school or by any enforcers, law enforcers?
Not that we know of.
Not that you know of. That's great.
We know of.
Who were some of the other friends that he would hang out with? And actually, yeah, like what, just kind of describe some of those other stories of him and the friends and what they would do.
Well, there was kind of a gang. Of course, his friend and neighbor, Brian, was part of that as well. But it was just a mix. There were girls, there were guys, and they just really, I guess their personalities blended, and they just had a great social life.
So what was the name of the high school he went to?
Plymouth High School.
It was Plymouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So moving on to these. Here we go. High school, football, graduation. Who's the dog in the photo? And is that the senior picture in the corner? Because the lighting is perfect, giving him a beautiful hue.
Yes, that is his graduation picture. The dog is a stray that showed up on our doorstep. And, you know, he and animals, he just invited it right in. It did not, however, like anybody that had boots on. So any delivery person that came to the door, he was not real friendly. So we actually ended up taking him to the Humane Society. We were not going to keep it. So the football was something he started. He had injured his shoulder wrestling. What was that? His sophomore or junior year?
I think it was a junior year.
So he took up football, and he really liked it.
Yeah, one funny thing, whenever he was playing football in junior high, a player was running down the field, and Mike caught up to him and got one leg, and the guy kept dragging Mike along.
He was pretty tiny in junior high.
He was a scrappy little guy, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he weighed 80 pounds maybe when he started high school.
I can honestly say that, and I'm sure you've met Jim Lear over all the years. I could wrestle Jim, but I never wanted to wrestle Mike. And when they see this, I'm sure that they'll laugh a little bit. So we're going to move on to these shots right here. Hold on. So here we've got essentially the after college Bridget, which they met in college, and this was the wedding. So let's talk a little bit about Bridget. What was the first situation you got to actually meet Bridget?
When they were in Indianapolis. Yeah, where was it that you lived with him?
In Broad Ripple on
Yeah.
Nowaldo. We were on a corner lot. It was 61st and Nowaldo in the Broad Ripple area.
Well, that was the first time we met her, was when they were down there. So,
what did you think of her, and what did you think of kind of her personality and how they blended? How would you describe that?
very friendly.
Very good. Yeah.
So over the years, what are some characteristics of Bridget that you see stand out, not just as a wife, but also as a mother, if you could describe that and bring up some situations?
I don't know about situations per se, but, you know, we always felt welcome. Great mom, and they do so much as a family. I mean, it's just one of those things that where they go, Peyton goes.
Now, I'm assuming you've been out to visit them. Have you also gone up to like Sedona?
Yeah. Yeah, we went up there with them.
What were some of the other places over the years you've been able to travel with them?
Actually, it's basically just out there for a visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, they obviously have a son, Peyton.
Right.
And so what was it like when you found out that they were going to be having a baby?
Excited, of course. And they had a little issue with getting pregnant. So it was just a real blessing to have that little guy make it to term. So we were pretty happy for them. And both of them, of course, were very excited.
Did you hear about their friend, the Sertos, that had twins and then more twins? I think they've got like 20 different twins at this point, or so. No, I'm kidding.
I think you're right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So we did go to their house a couple of times for Thanksgiving when we were out there. So it was good people. Good people.
All right. So here's another shot of their fam dressed up, having fun, doing different things. Were you out there for any of these situations? And
no, we just lived through pictures, and you know, he's always up for a good time. So the costumes, every year we have a new costume, and you know, whatever the occasion commands, that's what he'll imbibe in.
I got to tell you something about Peyton.
Yeah.
When he was little, he would put him in front of this, what was it, a TV screen?
It was a program through the TV.
Yeah. And
Baby can read.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And by the time Peyton went into school, he knew more about language and what he could do, his numbers. He just knew everything from sitting in front of that TV watching all those clips go by. And the teachers were really impressed that he could do all that.
All right, so this question is for both of you separately. So he becomes a father, and he probably asks a few times for advice or some guidance. Skip, what's the situation that you remember kind of talking to Mike right when he was becoming the father, or throughout the years that you've been able to kind of guide him down the path? And if the situation of whatever it was, you know, part of the reason he brought it up to you, what's some of the advice and guidance moments that you've had, kind of father teaching father?
Just to make sure he takes care of his son and help him out when he needs some help, and let him become experienced in different sports.
And then Joanne, what about yourself as far as him asking mom for advice?
Well, he doesn't ask too often, unfortunately, but, you know, we just are proud of the way that they are both participating in raising him, keeping him on the straight and narrow, and just doing a good job.
So what are some aspects of Peyton's personality that you see from Mike and that you also see from Bridget, if you can differentiate?
Well, for Mike, yeah, he really raised a very smart son. When he got into school, they wanted to advance him a grade because he knew so much. And Mike decided to hold him back and just, keep going with the class he was already in.
And then, Joann, what would you like to say to that?
They have just raised a really sweet boy. He's caring, and in school, he likes to help others. So it's just a real good situation.
That's beautiful. All right, we're going to move on to a little bit more fun and a little bit of travel. So, and is that your mother in the photo there?
That was her 100th birthday party.
Her 100th birthday.
Yes, yes.
Mine lived in 97, so I can 1000% appreciate that. And actually started this company interviewing her about her life to surprise the family at Christmas. So got her to thank for that. And where was the tropical area? Was that out in Phoenix?
Yes. Kim and her buddy is on the right-hand side. They went out there for a visit. I think they were out there just to get away, and then they hooked up with Bridget and Mike and Peyton.
So we got the squirrel there on some railing. That's an obvious Mike scenario, loving the critters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Did you take the photo, or did you find the photo, or for the squirrel moment?
He just shared that they were hiking someplace. And of course, he has to deal with critters, and yep.
All right, so this is back to the shot originally of my times with Mike, which I've had a lot of great times over the years and traveling with him, and a lot of fun kind of growing up through college and growing into adulthood with him. Now that he's turning 50, obviously, he's been through a lot. He's got 50 years, but what type of advice would you like to give him for the decades ahead? And him, as well as Bridget, as well as Peyton, what would you like to say to them individually?
Yeah. Tell Mike to quit drinking so much.
I would say, I know he has a great work ethic and he cares a lot about others. So with that passion on both ends of that, he's going to do great.
Well, 50 years has been a long path for Mike, and I know that he's had some close calls, if it's hiking in the desert or whatever it is, that we might remember a few crazy scenarios, but it's been fun to be able to see the pictures from his past. And I really appreciate the time that you guys have been able to share some of those little details. I know it's 50 years of stuff. It's hard to just kind of sum it up, but what else would you like to say in closing to Mike for his 50th?
We just wish him a very happy 50th. And we're just proud of having a son like him.
Yeah, we're proud of this old man now. 50 years, that's a long time.
That's right. It started from birth, and you guys raised a good son. Just like to say that. He's one of the funniest people and most motivational people I've known.
No, we're a little prejudiced, but we think he's pretty great.
That's beautiful. All right, so just stay on the line, and I'm going to close this one out, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sean, for doing this.
Appreciate it, Sean.
You got it.